I want to show you something they never explored after John F. Kennedy was assassinated. They always talked about parallels between John F. Kennedy and who? Abraham Lincoln. And since people like to deal with the Illuminati and conspiracy theory, I'm going to show you who assassinated or who was behind the assassination of JFK that was sent to a number of people who study numerology, and it's something that they kept hidden, and we're going to expose it today. You ready? What you see here is just a chart breaking down the number sequence of the letters in the alphabet. Okay? So I want to have that up there. It's very simple.
Well, explain what that means exactly. So.
This is a chart just showing the number sequence of the letters in the alphabet.
So A would be number 1.
Yes.
And then,
okay?
All right.
Because I want people to see that I'm not just plucking things from out of the air. Okay? Now, for expediency, I have here, these are, let's say the easier things to remember about some of the parallels between Lincoln and Kennedy, okay? Lincoln, let me do this. Okay. Lincoln was which president of the United States? He was the 16th. And Kennedy was the 35th, okay? Now, what I used to show the kids for history, the unique thing about Lincoln, if you reverse the sequence he was as president, you get 61. That's when he took office in 1861, okay? So, okay, Kennedy was the 35th, Lincoln was the 16th. That's important. Both Lincoln and Kennedy, their last names are 7 letters long, okay? Lincoln was elected in 1860, and he took office in 1861. Kennedy was elected in 1960, took office in 1961. Lincoln was assassinated, they say, in a Ford Theater, right? Now, the connection they make with Kennedy is that he was assassinated in a Lincoln car made by Ford. They both had vice presidents named Johnson, okay? Andrew Johnson for Lincoln and Lyndon Baines Johnson for Kennedy, okay? Who killed Lincoln? They said it was John Wilkes Booth. Got that? And who killed Kennedy? They said it was Lee Harvey Oswald, right? Okay, so now, you see that? You got that?
Down here?
Up, if you got, okay, just through the top. Lincoln, 16th president, and he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Now I have the initials of John Wilkes Booth. J is the 10th letter, W is the 23rd letter, and B is the 2nd letter. When we add those up, we get 35.
Okay.
Now watch this. Who assassinated Kennedy?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
L is the 12th letter, H is the 8th letter, and O is the 15th letter. When we add that up, guess what we get?
I think some people are ahead of you.
35, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about 35 is, who was the 35th president?
Kennedy.
Kennedy. Now, numbers follow you. Okay, numerology is interesting. At 35, that number relates to Kennedy, right? Now, what was Lincoln? What was his number, his sequence as president?
16.
16. Watch this. You ready for this? 35 have the digits of 3 and 5, right? What's 3 and 5?
8.
3 and 5 here?
8.
You have 8 twice, right?
Yeah.
Equals?
16.
Who does that relate to?
Kennedy. Oh, I'm sorry. Lincoln.
Lincoln. See the connection?
Yeah.
Okay, now, I said what we're going to do, we're going to see who was behind the assassination of who?
Kennedy.
Kennedy, right? Now, who assassinated Lincoln?
Booth.
John Wilkes Booth, right? I wrote his initials here, right?
Yeah.
Who assassinated Kennedy?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
All right. Right? Let me circle that. Right? Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Who assassinated, with the numerology code, who do they say was behind the assassination of Kennedy? You ready for this?
LHO. Yeah. 12, 8, and 15.
JWB LHO, right? The question is who, right? WHO, right? That's who, right?
Yeah. Okay. You got, okay.
Who, and who's left? What initials are left?
J, wait, hang on, just focus.
See that?
J,
WHO?
Yeah. J, B, L.
B, J.
So, what are we saying now? What's the implication based on the numbers?
Who was behind the assassination of Kennedy? WH who? See it there? What letters are left when you circle the WHO?
Okay, well, I'm a numbskull. LBJ, what does that mean?
LBJ, huh?
LBJ means?
That's the vice president, Lyndon Baines Johnson. And when you go up and you look up the different conspiracy theories on who they feel was behind the assassination, one of them is
LBJ?
LBJ. They said because he got wind that Kennedy was not going to nominate him or have him as the vice president when he would run for his second election. And the president, being the president, is about being in power.
So that's the story?
That's the story.
You're sticking to it?
But here's the thing. No one's ever given you this parallel. No one's ever shown you this breakdown, the numerology breakdown. And what I want to get out to the family is, in order to see things, observation is the key to learning. I always tell my students that. The schema, the word schema, that's an interesting term. Schema deals with background knowledge. It's the knowledge you acquire through lifelong learning. The more schema you have, the more it'll help you, it'll facilitate the learning process. A lot of our kids, when they take tests, they can't make the context of what they're reading about, because a lot of our kids, if they're reading a passage about animals and whatnot, and they've never heard of the animals, they can't make any connections. So it's important that you learn to read, and then once you learn to read, you read to learn. Always try to learn something. To work with your kids, engage them, and not only that, don't help them in a way where you're giving them the answers. Engage them so that they can find the answers on their own. It's important that we don't teach kids what to think, but we train them on how to think. That's what's important. And listen to our kids and see what, what's the best way they can learn. Some see it better. Some, when they say it, it's better for them. Or some, when they work with it, it's better. But when you're going to learn something, try to engage all of your senses.